Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor. One thing I see that's being talked about a lot in social media right now is so dangerous. It makes me sick to watch people diving into this stuff. I was there. I saw Celsius. I saw all that stuff happen. But I'm not saying that anybody that's doing yield right now is doing anything that's not legal. But what I am saying is I've been in this market for a long time, and I can tell right now the only focus I have is on keeping my XRP safe. That's it. Because this market is too young. There's not enough liquidity for us to not have these drastic pullbacks and all. We're still in that place. Now, 6 months from now, a year from now, we may not be in that place, and it might be totally different. And I hope it is, because I do plan on to do things like borrow against my XRP, but not until this market is mature enough for some stability in the price. Okay. And so, and we're not there yet. And so it doesn't matter what the sales pitch is and all this stuff. All that matters is right now is keeping your XRP safe. I don't care. I don't care what's offered to you. This is just my opinion, and I'm not a financial advisor, but I'm telling you, Phil and Dom Kwok, these guys came from, one of them was from Goldman Sachs, and I think Morgan Stanley, maybe a couple other Wall Street firms. These guys know what they're talking about. They're being polite about it. Excuse me. They're being polite about it. They're asking questions here. But if you look right here, Phil Kwok, let me pull this up. He's this guy says they're talking about lending of would you borrow USD using your XRP as collateral? Sometimes could be margin called if price fluctuates or downturn. That's the bear case. Just thinking if that would worry you. Of course, could always just make sure the loan is small one to limit risk of the loan getting called in. And I said it's very dangerous to borrow against your XRP until we have more price stability, which comes from a much more mature market. Totally different ball game if we had maybe, I mean, for those that were early, maybe even 10 to 20 trillion in the market, but we're still at 4 trillion right now. I said, know the risk before diving in. For now, the most important thing is to hold your XRP safely. All kinds of financial products are going to be rolled out, but I've seen it time and time again. Jumping at the next XRP financial product, the first thing that comes along, whether it's anything, yield or lending against, all this stuff is highly dangerous. I've seen it, and if I've seen anything, I know that all my focus is right now. It might change in 6 months. I think it quite possibly could, but right now, until I see some major firms that are mega legitimate and the market is much more mature from a liquidity standpoint, not me. One of my two places that I'm focused on keeping my XRP safe is iTrustCapital, my partner. You can go to iTrustCapital /XRP Army to open an account. You can even open an IRA. I did it myself. I opened a premium custody account. You get the free institutional grade custody, and there's also a promo code. You'll get a $100 free funding bonus. That's what I'm doing. The market's sitting here flat, and here's why. Today is, well, it said tomorrow, but that's from yesterday. Today at 2:30, we're going to find out if Jerome Powell lowers interest rates. Today is the day. Poly market, which is the best indicator of just about anything, probably because people that go on there might have information you and I don't have and place bets. 91% chance of a 25 basis points cut. And then you've got this. Check this out. Somebody sent me this yesterday. This is from Equities In. On September 9th, 2025, Advisors LLC was invited on behalf of the funds it manages to participate in a tender offer organized by Ripple, whereby we would sell a portion of the holdings we manage back to Ripple. Under the proposed tender offer, Ripple would purchase up to 6% of the holdings we manage at $250 per share. For reference, the most recent closed Equities In technology, anyway, you get the picture. Ripple's willing to buy it back at $250. It says here, transactions completed on Equities In platform were $74 a share for both Ripple common stock and preferred stock. And I think the last buyback that Ripple did was like, I want to say it was 175. I could be wrong. I don't really remember what it was, but it was a lot lower than 250. New XRP treasury company Vivo Power announces plan to acquire XRP at up to 65% discount by exchanging mined tokens from its expanded digital asset mining fleet through bulk purchasing deals. Interesting. Okay, this is great. This guy is, I can't remember the name of his company, but this guy is talking about how he's had conversations behind the scenes. I've been telling you this for 5 to 7 years, folks. All these Wall Street guys that have been trying to scare you out of all this stuff and tell you they don't know if it's coming and all. This thing has been planned for decades. Decades. Don't listen to what they say, listen to what they do, and here's what they're doing.
There is pressure from the biggest money makers in the world.
Okay, let me answer it this way. Let me say this. Yeah, we have talked since 2018 to the biggest merchants you know.
Yeah.
Pretty much every bank. Most folks in the sector, even those that come out publicly, and I won't name names, but I think we know them. You know, Bitcoin's horrible, this technology's bad. Every one of them.
What are you talking about?
Well, I'm talking about the industry now. I'm talking about banks.
Oh, well, there's many of those.
Yeah,
Ray Dalio, let's go with Jamie Dimon. Yes.
I want to say this, though. Every one of those companies has had a department looking at blockchain, looking at crypto, building it out for themselves, how they're going to take advantage of it. Every one of them did. Some in black ops sites away from their primary offices.
Larry Fink. Yeah.
They've been doing this the entire time. They're all ready for the launch. They know it's coming. I don't care what they say publicly. They're all building for it. They're all
so this is misdirection at its highest.
Absolutely. 100%. They all know this is done. This technology is superior and folks know it. They know it internally. And what they say publicly is maybe they're doing it for their own reasons. I could care less what those reasons are. But the bottom line is this is going to win the day. It already has won the day. It's a matter of how it scales.
So you think that switch is going to flip? How fast? When would this happen? When do you feel like the tidal wave comes?
Well, I feel like the switch was flipped. People are working. They're preparing to launch. You've already heard some banks announce their own tokens. You've already heard some of them announce their own partnerships. So I don't think it's a secret that they're doing this. How quickly this comes, I think it goes back to that first conversation we just had a little bit ago about adoption, how new technologies get adoption, how quickly folks want to integrate and launch and commit to it. Not everybody's a Chipotle, right? Not everybody wants to hop in and lead in this sector. They kind of want to see how the waters work out for everybody else. But that's changing. I mean, the inbound interest is crazy right now for Flexa. Imagine that's that way for every other company participating in digital assets. It's just a really exciting time. And I don't see it, again, administration changes is not going to slow this down. It just won't, as long as we have the law. And I do think you're going to see this tidal wave coming when banks get...
Oh, yeah, you're going to see this tidal wave. Now, my dad told me a long time ago, he's the official father of the Digital Asset Investor channel. He told me a long time ago, never invest in something that doesn't make sense and that you don't understand. From the time I got in this in 2014, I have never understood why all the talk about Bitcoin, because when I used it, it was too expensive. It took forever. I had to wait for confirmations. I understood the second I used XRP, I was like, now this makes sense. And it makes 1,000 times more sense now, all these years later, with all that I've learned. It never made sense. Ethereum never made sense. It makes sense as a prototype, testing ground. Tether never made sense. Never made sense to me. If you go back and look at all the characters involved, there were people involved in that had been busted for doing gambling sites and all kinds of stuff. Almost like the feds co-opted them and said, here, now you're going to build this for us offshore. If I didn't know better, or maybe I do know better. So anyway, when Steak and Shake announced that they were going to use Bitcoin in their locations, I made them aware. I said, hey, Steak and Shake, you do realize the food's going to be cold by the time the transaction goes through. XRP will take seconds. Down here, Paul Barron addresses that and asks, and I'll just let you listen.
Then you have the payment structure. Then you have the XRP crowd, which also, first of all, just the size of that audience in general. I'm looking at it when we see a potential here for a major retailer like a Chipotle, a Starbucks, anyone really. I mean, Shake Shack kind of went out on the limb with Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I tested it at a Shake Shack, didn't work well. Or not Shake Shack, Steak and Shake, didn't work well. We're going to get them on the show to talk about it because the process was kind of clunky. So I asked them straight up, was this just a PR stunt? You know, and
Interesting. Yeah.
And my point is this: is if I can't solve my problem of payment with crypto, do you feel like retailers are going to try to start targeting ways to get to a certain audience?
Things that actually work, you mean?
It's just because it's a large audience that would bring them into the stores.
Maybe because they just work.
I think it's a great question. I think they will start to target more right now. Remember, though, retailers have been in the dark for the last 8 years. They really have been waiting for some regulation. So we've worked closely with some of our retailers, some of our merchants we've been talking to since 2018. And I'm talking about enterprise grade merchants. Yeah. And that's instructive. Again, much like we pick point of sale in brick and mortar stores, much like we state in the US, it's very similar to that. Working with merchants in their compliance departments, we want to talk to those enterprise-sized merchants. Of all the enterprise merchants today that accept digital assets, they're all doing it through Flexa because we've stuck with, except for one notable exception, which is Tesla. Right. But so we're talking about a couple dozen enterprise-grade merchants who've done it through Flexa. And the reason is we've walked them step by step by step along this regulatory pathway to a point where they now have some confidence thanks to Genius, and specifically thanks to the promise of clarity coming. So they'll know the assets, for example, being spent on their network aren't securities, or they'll know which ones aren't securities. So they can have that confidence. They also have that authority now or trust from the legislation that's coming, and that's why merchants are getting on board today. So I do believe you're right. I do believe they will start targeting the sector more. And I know for a fact this technology is here to stay for them. They've been working on it for years. They're ready for it. They want to build it. They know what the future holds. The future holds digital asset payments. They know, and I think this is to a merchant, whether they want to say it publicly or not, credit cards and debit cards have a lifespan, and that lifespan is coming to a point where it's ending. Maybe not immediately, maybe not.
Okay. So I told Paul, I said, he tested Bitcoin and payments at Steak and Shake. And I said, and he called it he said, asked them if it was a PR stunt. I said, Bitcoin itself is a PR stunt. Make no mistake, folks. Remember this. You never forget this, folks. I walked through several Bitcoin conferences, and there's no question in my mind it's been 1,000% a PR stunt. This right, if I ever saw Brad Garlinghouse dress up, or anybody from Ripple in cowl suits doing this, I would immediately sell my XRP and get into something else because I would know. I'll never forget that. I was standing there when these guys were dancing through Bitcoin Las Vegas. Never forget that. Okay, here's an article. James Rule found it. UK set to announce closer cooperation with US on cryptocurrencies. Chancellor Rachel Reeves. Anyway, so the Treasury Secretary goes over there and meets with her. And look right here. What do you know? The idea was debated at a meeting whose attendees included crypto companies Coinbase, Circle, Ripple, and banks Citi, Bank of America, Barclays. You don't say. Okay, we're going to go into DAIXRP.com. That's the Patreon. If you'd rather join through YouTube, you can click the join button below any of these, or you can click subscribe through X to join. Today I'm going to show you, folks, this has never been about cartoon monkeys. It's never been about green candles. It's never been about stupid ICOs. This has been about Bretton Woods 3.0 or 2.0, whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to show you, all you have to do is look at the players that have been involved all this time. Look at who's been involved in all this. That's the one thing that I'm like a freaking encyclopedia of the connections of all the things that have gone on. It's so obvious, it's not even funny. And I'll show you just one of them in here and some other things. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. Away we go.